First, let's take a look at where to find these new features. In the left-hand menu, you'll now see a code coverage option. On the code coverage page, you'll find several tabs, starting with the Overview tab. This tab gives you a summary of key trends and your current KPI scores. At the top of the page, you can choose which code coverage metric to focus on. You might be looking at line coverage or combining it with statement coverage and branch coverage for deeper insights. You can also filter by your teams, architectural components, and, of course, select the date range you want to analyze. Let's take a closer look. Now let's filter down from this yearly overview to a more detailed view. We'll focus on a few weeks in January and switch from a monthly view to a daily view. At the top, you'll see code coverage KPIs, the overall coverage score, the current score, and any changes over time. One of the biggest updates to CodeScene's coverage functionality is hotspot code coverage. Instead of just looking at overall coverage, this feature helps you focus on the most critical areas of your codebase, your hotspots. This means you can prioritize improvements where they'll have the biggest impact. For each score, you'll also see a trend line, so you can track how your coverage is progressing over time. By default, the coverage target is 80% for overall code coverage and 90% for hotspots. In future updates, these targets will be editable. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a breakdown of your files by coverage level: high, mid, low, or no coverage. You'll also see where coverage data is missing. If you want to analyze specific teams, you can filter to see how they're performing in terms of overall score, trends, and hotspot coverage. The same applies to components. You can select a component and track its progress over time. Trend graphs help you spot changes and dig deeper into what caused them. For example, in the hotspot code coverage trend, you might notice a long period of stability, then suddenly, there's an increase. In this case, you can see that 5 hotspot files had their code coverage change. To investigate further, you can switch to the Hotspots tab. In this tab, as well as in the Teams and Components sections, there's a comparison feature. You can click anywhere on the graph to compare 2 different data points. This lets you see exactly which files, teams, or components changed and how those changes impacted your overall hotspot code coverage score. You can see there was a drop between January 16th and 17th. Let's take a closer look at what happened. It turns out that 2 files became hotspots. If we click here, we can dig deeper and see that these 2 new hotspots were introduced as frequently worked on files, but both have 0% line coverage. That makes them a key focus area moving forward. Next to the Hotspots tab, you'll find the Teams tab. Here you get a high-level overview of all your teams and can track their progress over time. Let's zoom out and look at a longer time frame, let's say on a monthly level. You can compare each team individually to see how they're performing overall. If you want to analyze changes, you can check hotspot code coverage, or you can see which teams have the most uncovered lines, giving you insight into where there's the most potential to improve coverage across your codebase. In the Components tab, you can reuse the architectural components you've already defined in CodeScene. This lets you analyze code coverage based on the technical clusters or business value clusters that you previously set up. This gives you a structured way to assess coverage within your architecture. If you want to dive deeper into your code coverage at the folder or file level, you can use the Explore tab. Here you have the same filtering options for teams and components, plus a search function to find specific files. You'll get a clear, graphical overview of your coverage, showing areas with no coverage, low, mid, or high coverage, as well as files with missing data. CodeScene also lets you exclude certain files from your coverage analysis. For example, test files can be excluded by default, but you can quickly check which files have been left out. You can also filter to find areas with both low coverage and low code health, making it easier to spot problem areas. And if you want to focus on just your hotspots, you can toggle them on to get a detailed breakdown of file-level coverage. To recap, today we've introduced Hotspots code coverage for a better focus, as well as using KPIs and targets to track your goals, tracking the long-term insights with trends, and filtering by teams and components to zoom in on specific areas of your code coverage. Thanks for watching.